Today, we live in a society in which spurious realities are manufactured by the media, by governments, by big corporations, by religious groups, political groups. So I ask, in my writing, what is real? Because unceasingly we are bombarded with pseudo-realities manufactured by very sophisticated people using very sophisticated electronic mechanisms. I do not distrust their motives, I distrust their power. They have a lot of it, and it is an astonishing power, that of creating whole universes, universes of the mind. I ought to know I do the same thing. Philip K. Dick. All right, how's it going, everyone? Good evening. So, second live stream of the day, one this afternoon, or was it in the morning, which was blocked, and I got a warning. And yeah, I have a feeling that my YouTube channel is probably gonna be bye-bye sometime soon. I'll probably have my secondary backup channel around, just because it's I made sure I had my backup channel do pretty much the exact same thing as my main channel, except I don't have it monetized. What I want to see is a difference in viewing, a difference in comments, and a difference in what is blocked, what isn't, and all this other stuff, so I can always compare the two. And if my channel gets taken down because it's not suitable for content, commercial content or whatever, or ads, and well, I can take down my backup channel, who knows. Now I'll go through my usual bit here. So
Indy, I love you. Wake up,
that's a little snippet that I'm gonna kind of have around. I just gotta make sure I don't play it all the time. So basically that's just you know, if you're someone I know and I want you to wake up, you know, I'm just gonna play that. You know, I'm not trying to troll you for my amusement, even though it is amusing. Sometimes it's more aggravating than amusing, trust me. I'm short round trying to tell Indiana Jones, wake up, and smacked. All right, so here's my community action that occurred, understanding what NPCs are. The policy was spam, deceptive practices, and scams. I submitted an appeal. Basically, I'm just using fair use. I probably use about 15 minutes of pertinent movie snippets in order to speak about the 45 minutes of material that just I presented on the fly. Everything is on the fly. I don't have teleprompters or anything like that. Hi, upside down. Downer. A lot of Aussies around here. You know, I noticed that. It's like, I guess they put me in the Aussie servers or something. YouTube. I don't mind. I really like Aussies. So it's getting a little chilly in here. It snowed last night, and it's still chilly. The basement is pretty chilly here, so that's why you see me all garbed up. All right. So there's that. I don't know what's gonna happen. Is it if it happens again, I won't be able to do things like upload, post, or live stream for 1 week. So yeah, which is why I'm letting you know now, just like in the other media, in the other video that I uploaded, is if you really want to watch my stuff live, watch it on D Live, because that's the only place that I will be able to live stream. Unfortunately, I don't have enough followers or subscribers on D Live where all my videos are kept around. So if you want to watch any of my videos that I've live streamed and or uploaded, you can find that on LBRY, LBRY. You can find all of that stuff here. all the links. Now, my stuff is always free. It's always public. Anyone can reuse it. You know, I don't charge any extra for exclusive content. I don't display favoritism on anything. Basically, you can even join now to talk with me about this topic. Sometimes when I do present certain things, I ask you to just mute your mic for a while, and then I'll probably ask you a question saying, okay, I'm gonna open up the lines type of thing, whatever. You know, it's all that. So you can usually find that on the YouTube comment section, the description box. You can find that on the vim.tv or Steam it for that live stream. The other thing is, if you don't see it and you're just watching on DLive and you want to join, just chat on DLive and I'll just go ahead and copy and paste the information into chat. Now, again, I do all of this for free. So if you want to donate, you can donate via cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or Vertcoin. You can look on the blockchain to see how much I've received. Basically, the ones that I have here are the two that I took money out of Patreon in order to give to Susie Dawson when she needed it, and Vertcoin there has been no transactions, so yeah, still $0 for over 17 months. I have gotten donations via Google Super Chat. They take a big chunk of it, and who knows, I probably won't have Google Super Chat in the future. You can always donate to me via PayPal.me. What I do is I disclose the amounts I received for the previous month on my first video of the month, along with all the donations I've received in full since I've been doing this. And I'll just open up the Google Super Chat. You'll see all the users. I'll say my thank yous. And PayPal.me, I only started that on September 22nd, 2019. If you don't have any money to donate and you're a Glober, you can prove the globe Earth and get $15,000 from Zen Garcia and donate to me a 10% finder's fee. So pretty simple. If you don't have any money, you can always do that. I'm pretty sure you've got plenty of proofs out there at this globe. All right. Oh, and man, there's just so many things I had to cover in the beginning here. Join the Flat Earth People Finder at zoomtruth.com and get involved. And David Hicks, founder, he's Zoom Truth. You can find his live streams on YouTube. Trying to get more exposure to this. Flathead Politics pretty much built all this himself. So I'm trying to find time to get things going and help out, and it'll be great. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Something we all built together, and we can eventually be able to video chat to each other just like I do on Zoom. You could do it with any of your live streams. You could do it when you're not even live. You can just find someone, talk, and say, hey, I'm trying to find, look, I want to film the the full moon tonight, and I want someone who's supposedly on the opposite side of the globe, and just what do you see when it's that same time later that night? If you see the full moon, what does it look like? Let's compare notes, type of thing. You know, I mean, anyone could do that just in general, but at least now there's a platform where you could do that. Ideas are endless, really. All right, so let's go to the topic at hand. Now, I did a video a while back talking about the 311, very similar to the current one I'm doing, and it's basically the Seattle false flag prediction was the PSYOP. Now I want you to listen. I'm not going to go and play the whole thing. I segue off of it, but just so you know that that's there. That's where I talk about the entire idea of this being a PSYOP to just kind of discredit the 9/11 and the truthers. There's not many of us out there. You think that there are, but no. Truthers will pretty much should be non-anonymous. For one, you should know their names. You should see their faces. You should go with your own flow. Basically, you're not tagging along with someone else saying, hey, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is the agenda we want to put out to the people as truthers, as the truther community. No. That just follows a propaganda narrative. So pretty much every truther, real truther, should just follow the beat of their own drum. Then you've got a lot of anonymous people, and now anonymous started off with mainstream media, and you got those on the right. You've got anonymous on both the right and the left. You've got QAnon on the right, far right, and you've got like anonymous just on the left. You know, they'll support something, they'll not support something. You know, it's almost a flavor for every political ideology. It's kind of funny how that is. Except, who is anonymous? No one knows. It could be government operatives and all this other stuff. I mean, that quote from Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick, man, he knew some stuff. Probably why he went crazy. I mean, talks about living in a society where spurious realities. Now, Philip K. Dick, I think he passed away in 1982. So 1982, he's talking about this stuff. Manufactured by the media, by governments, by big corporations, by religious groups, political groups. Nothing has changed since 1982 when he passed away. He probably said this way before 1982 anyways. And he's talking about very sophisticated electronic mechanisms. I mean, how sophisticated were the electronics back in the 80s, 70s, maybe even earlier? Not that sophisticated. I guess it was good enough to get us to the moon, right? 10 times out of 10. You know, he doesn't distrust their motives. He distrusts their power because there's just a lot of it. And anyways, very good quote. I found that very great. And we're seeing this with just a lot of anonymous content creators, anonymous, savior figures, savior groups within every ideology. People still refer to a lot of people that they follow, like the person that I was talking to alluded in my previous video about NPCs. And it's like, yeah, Red's rhetoric pretty much proved it. He hasn't lost a debate. And it's like, what, really? I mean, he lost pretty big to me. So yeah, who is Red's rhetoric? He doesn't know his name, doesn't know his face. Hey, Plain Truth, how's it going? So same thing with a call for an uprising. I talked about him in the past. Call for an uprising. Who's a call for an uprising? What's his name? What's his face? What's he look like? You don't know. They can change their name at any time. You won't know. Well, I mean, you could say, oh, that's him. Yeah, that's call for an uprising. But do you remember what his previous channel name was? The Fire Rises or A Fire Rises? Did he have content before that? Probably. So if anyone calls out A Fire Rises in the past and do a search for it, it's gonna be like, yeah, who's The Fire Rises? That YouTube channel has been terminated. Until you kind of know that, oh, he's call for an uprising, and then call for an uprising just changes his channel name again. It's like, so much calling out for a call for an uprising. Look at Abon Kim's video. He did one calling out a call for an uprising. Well, call for an uprising, the channel goes away, a new channel comes up. It's the same person. You can listen to their voice, but then you're like, well, this guy seems pretty clean. You know, he just started. There's a guy who started a new channel. He's a truther. He exposes a lot of things. Sounds a lot like some other fella that we used to listen to, and we call it that channel name again. You know, we're just kind of going in circles all around again. They'll start up and they'll get thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. Little dinky channels like me who exposes them, nah, nothing. So one of the things that I did on this video about the 11-3 Seattle false flag prediction that was a PSYOP. I talk about the whole anonymous thing. Is like, who are you guys getting this information from? And just on the merit of the information alone, is that enough to say it's gonna happen? No, it's not. Are there any other types of, aside from 9/11, which is a backwards prediction? So you guys are trying to predict any of the stuff that's going to happen with predictive programming, and who finds all this stuff to compile it? I mean, again, we go back to this kind of anonymous channel, German channel, and he made a lot of food videos, and all of a sudden just makes a lot of these 11-3 Seattle videos, and whole bunch of material to look at from all these movies and TVs, which is interesting because whenever I try to put in some material with movies and TVs, I get blocked just like that, right? But it seems like it's not a problem for all these anonymous channels. And I also said, they're gonna say that they prevented the Seattle 11-3 occurring, the false flag occurring, because we just got so many people to look at it, and therefore they won. They stopped it. So I talk about all of this in that video, and what you can do is now listen to this one by TM Films. Who's TM Films? Psh. So what's the point of saying TM Films exposed? Well, TM Films, he could change his YouTube channel name at any time. He'll probably get like 6,000 subscribers in no time. I mean, he had 448 views in 46 minutes ago when I was setting up, so it's probably over an hour now. Yeah, an hour ago. And leading up to this, just a lot of fear porn, saying it's going to happen. Just explosions and things like that. Stop the bleed. Here we go. Make sure you're sitting down. All caps. A lot of caps. Where there's one that was like a big Seattle 311 boom right here. Right. Just a lot of that, but it gets a lot of views. 2.3 thousand views. I mean, he's got 728 views already. And I'll bet he's got a lot of, well, you can't see the likes or dislikes. But anyways, let's just listen to it for a while, okay? I'm going to play it back. Pretty much going over exactly like I said it was going to happen, how they're going to spin it, because there's only one way to spin it, and I'll get more into it later. So here we go.
Hey guys, TMF, and this is the awesome, amazing, wonderful post 11-3-113 Seattle video. And 11-3 came and went, guys. We could not be happier. It's just the greatest outcome, the most awesome, amazing, wonderful outcome, hence the title of the video. We just couldn't be happier. So very good thing. And I just needed to take a quick break there. I was just mentally exhausted and drained. Just putting up, just investigating and researching it and putting up videos about it. Just the nature of the topic could just be overwhelming. It could mentally drain you. So just had a kind of a crash there, if you will. But back to give you guys a message here. And I want to address a few things, clear up a few things, give you guys some insight as to my motivations behind these videos with this false flag watch. And we were indeed on a false flag watch. But the difference here is this was based solely on predictive programming. Now, we've had false flag watches in the past, and, some other factors involved that dictated that. But this one was solely based on predictive programming, okay? And this is the first time I've gone all in this way, making up videos, officially, genuinely concerned, putting out videos about it, getting the word out for a false flag watch based solely on pre-programming. Now, I also want to address some of the skeptics and naysayers, so-called truth channels and others who are claiming that this was some sort of PSYOP to, discredit us.
Now what is he referring to me? Discredit us? Who's us? The anonymous truthers? All right, I'll just shut up.
And that the fact that nothing happened proves that they were right and it's a PSYOP. It was a PSYOP to discredit us. I'm going to go ahead and debunk that nonsense in this video as well. But I work on certain factors that have to be established, a certain criteria for me to go all in like this and put videos about it. Okay, because if I didn't have these factors, then it could be, you could justify, calling it fear mongering. But for those other skeptics and haters and people hating, saying, oh, you're just a fear mongering nut. Well, no, I think based on, my approach and the criteria I work on, that is absolutely not the farthest thing away from fear mongering. Okay, and it is genuine concern, and I think justified. So I'm going to go ahead and present that here. I have three main factors. Now, for me, this is me personally. I don't know how others who are putting out the word out on this, making videos, I don't know how they feel, but this is just me personally. So factor number one, predictive programming.
Me personally, who's me? Can I ask who you are? Probably won't say anything, right? Now, let's see, open transcript. I'm going to refer to a lot of stuff that I say as he's going through it, and he's got at least three that he's going to mention. And haters, he always has to say haters. It's like, when have I hated on anybody? All right.
Now, of course, the groundwork and foundation we go off of is 9/11 pre-programming. And we know that based on that, we know they utilize subconscious sorcery and witchcraft, subconscious manipulation. And we know this, that they do this via the media. This is no longer debatable. As a matter of fact, you can wake up a lot of people with viewing all the 9/11 pre-programming. It's a great way to wake people up. And actually, the compilation you're looking at here is probably the best up-to-date compilation of all the 9/11 pre-programming references. So we know they do this, and we can only logically assume they will do this, especially with their large-scale, world-changing false flag events. And so, of course, we've been speculating for years their next world-changing event will be much bigger than 9/11. Then we can only assume that the pre-programming will be going back decades and decades and decades, just like 9/11. So it would have to rival, at the very least, 9/11 or surpass it. And with this 11.3, many of us feel like it did surpass it in some ways. Heck, there's even hundreds of other references we didn't even get to. So it's just a matter, so make no mistake about it. If they work on this philosophy, okay, if they do this, then that means they will have programmed their next event in the media already. It's already out there staring at us right in our faces in the media. It's just a matter of identifying it consciously. And it seems like we did with this. If it's not, then it's still out there in the media. So that's the question. So again, the coding cannot go back just 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. Gotta go back decades and decades and decades, just like 9/11. So that's factor number one. Now, factor number two is...
Before he goes on, number two, look, number one, it's never happened to predict the predictive programming. And it's only happened with 9/11. It would be interesting to see predictive programming occur for other false flags and PSYOPs. There haven't been. I mean, they could spend a lot of time to do so, to find stuff that's predictive in media. And sure, that'd be great. I'm not going to find another one. Sorry. Bleeding from my thumb because I took out one of those skin tags. All right, so we'll listen to his second point.
Are there suspicious companies, entities involved with the projected target locations or buildings or building? And indeed, we have that here with the primary building of CenturyLink Field, and that's the building with the most suspicious connections that we were looking at. And of course, what comes up is the structural engineering company and the contractors for the stadium. Structural engineering company called Magnuson and Klemenczyk. Okay, and the contractor, Turner Construction, more suspiciously, Turner Construction, they've actually been on the radar, come to find out, of the 9/11 truthers for many years, because many feel that they were no doubt involved in the 9/11 operation, and they are highly corrupt based on what we're looking at here and the evidence we have on them. And actually, moving forward, we should continue to shed spotlight on them. And I actually want to do another video on them alone, Turner Construction. So get this, okay, just for those of you guys unaware, Turner Construction was involved with the 9/11 so-called cleanup, aka cover-up, okay? And they were responsible for fireproofing of, get this, the only floors that were impacted by the so-called planes just prior to 9/11. And
Isn't curious? He's tying a lot of this stuff to 9/11. First point was towards pointing it to similarities within 9/11. His second point now is pointing it to similarities in 9/11. In the video, I stated, hey, it's to make 9/11 truthers look bad. You can discount anything anyone says on the internet forever from all these anonymous people pushing these psyops. All right, let's keep going. It's pretty easy to see the game plan.
also, they were involved in the renovations, or responsible for the renovations just prior to 9/11 in the Twin Towers, which gave them access to the elevator shafts, which means that gave them access to the columns and beams. Do you understand the gravity of these facts? So I'm just going to leave that there. But this company is, wow. Okay, they were involved in the 9/11 op, and then you have the structural engineering company for CenturyLink called Magnuson and Klemenczyk. They were responsible for constructing the Twin Towers. The structural steel actually was constructed by this company. So right there, that elevates this investigation to the next level. It even brings all the skeptics coming on board and grabbing their attention, and justifiably so. Everyone's ears and brows were perked, and like I said, took this investigation to the next level. So if you have those connections coupled with the pre-programming references, that is huge. So that brings us to factor number 3. So factor number 3 boils down to a philosophical question. And some of you guys may be unaware, but 5 or so years ago, I put out a video. Some of you guys back then, around back then that are still here, may remember this video called 9/11 Pre-Programming Reveals the Biggest False Flag in Human History. And in that video, I lay out, how they do it, why they do it, and lay out and present some of the top references. And towards the end of the video, I say, hey, if we consciously identify this, we can actually probably negate the spell and render it powerless. And, because we're consciously identifying it. So what if we apply this to wide scale and we actually consciously identify this and insert it into the public consciousness, and hundreds of thousands of people view it? Would it not be possible to negate this spell on a large scale?
So he's talking about, and I alluded to in my video, he's going to say, hey, we consciously put this out there and we won. We prevented the 9/11 from happening. Let's see. Where'd it go? I think I had. Maybe it's win. Let's do. Man, can't I just do. I should have probably spent more time looking at the little snippets. Let's see. We won. Dang it. Anyways, in the video leading up to this, saying, you know what? They could just say they just by getting all these people out there, we won. We prevented. Oh, maybe that's the keyword. Prevented. Nope, they don't have that. Or maybe it's stopped. Is this the right one? No, that's not it. Ah, that sucks. Anyways, you'll find in my videos that they're gonna say, "Oh, we won. We stopped the 3/11 or 11/3 Seattle false flag event from happening. Yay!" Ah, man, I really don't want to finish this video, but okay, I'll finish this video so I can get on to the main part. Yeah, I haven't even reached the main part yet.
You know, for their potential false flag event based on this pre-programming spell. If we break the spell on a much larger scale, or at least hundreds of thousands of people know about it, and when we put it out there, is it not possible to potentially prevent or delay the event? Are we powerless?
And here's the other thing. Suppose they get people onto it and a false flag event happens. And well, let's go back to it. Hey, TM Films, whoever you are, I don't know where you like what your name is, but if we had do we not have enough people to stop the false flag? Do we need a couple 100,000 more? What's his answer gonna be? It doesn't matter. His point is, no matter what, whether it happens or it doesn't happen, they either didn't have enough people to stop the spell, or they stopped the spell with the people that they had. So how many people did you guys have? Did you guys stop it? Just, yeah.
You know, so this is just a question of if your approach, your philosophical approach, do you think we're powerless? I don't think we're powerless. I think we've prevented or stopped PSYOPs in the past. I think if we do it on a large scale where hundreds of thousands of people know about it beforehand, it does have an effect. Now, this is what I've always believed. Again, this video was 5 or so years ago, so I'm just not coming out and saying it just right now and coming out and saying it. This is what I've always believed. Okay, so would it not justify putting the word out there about it? Just putting it out there, just in case. And, who knows, right? And what if it is possible?
Now, there's a difference between putting the word out there than putting out titles like, "Here we go," in all caps, "Make sure you're sitting down, the last huge Seattle 11/3 update," or Seattle 3/11, 11/3, boom. Putting the word out there is not what you did. You went a little bit above and beyond, whoever you are.
Then we just want to sit quiet because we're worried about some people calling us tinfoil, even though they call us tinfoil for every other reason, and that ship has sailed already? Like, come on. Okay, and so imagine with the suspicious connections, the Turner constructions and and that coupled with the pre-programming references. Imagine if we went back before 9/11 and we did the same thing for 9/11, right? And we did this 11/3 for 9/11. And we pointed out the Larry Silversteins and the insurance policies and the Jeb Bush on the board of directors of Securicom Stratasec Security for the World Trade Center towers, the renovations, everything else, right? All those suspicious goings on and coincidences prior to the event. We pointed that out, and along with the references, Neo's passport matrix, Simpsons 9 and the towers, and the rest of it. How would that have played out? Think about it. How would that have played out if at least hundreds of thousands of people knew about it beforehand? That's something to think about, I think. Okay, so in my mind, because of these factors, and because of the possibility, I think it's completely justified in putting the word out in this way. And it is absolutely farthest thing away from fear mongering based on that. And so the other thing I want to address is the claim that some naysayers and so-called truth channels and others are saying about it being a psyop to discredit us. Again, that ship has sailed first and foremost, but
Doesn't discredit you. Who are you? Just start another channel. I'm pretty sure you have before if you've done stuff 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Your followers may know who you are. Most of them probably don't. It makes people who show themselves every day, doesn't have huge followings, gets blocked, gets shadow banned, what have you. Makes us look bad because we're putting out a lot of stuff too. It's like, okay, there are things that are being discussed here. Let's look into it. All right, we looked into it. So let's see what happens. Let's look at it from a logical perspective. And whatever. And you know, we're pretty like. I just do these things called on topics. I don't really have anything that's in all caps unless it is an acronym where you do capitalize all acronyms with caps. No fear mongering. There's really nothing to fear. So it doesn't make you look bad, Anonymous. Anonymous is always looking good because you're just anonymous. You know, someone who's on camera with their name. It's like I don't have some prestigious name like TM Films or something like that. It's just my name that was given to me when I was born. And it's like, well, you guys are diving into the deep stuff, and it's dangerous. I dive in the same shit you guys do. My name is out there. My face is out there. Yeah, don't give me any of that crap. All right, let's keep going.
the other reason it's just impossible is because, again, this particular pre-programming was identified going back to the 70s, if not before that. And so going back decades and decades and decades, pre-programming a code, a number, a date to quote unquote troll us for this moment, to quote unquote discredit us is just, I mean, do I even have to get into how ridiculous that is? No, that makes absolutely no sense.
What doesn't make sense to me is how many videos do you have to go through all the way back to the 70s to find this predictive programming? I mean, do you just sit down and just go through every, I don't even know. Do you have all these programs like on VHS? Like, where do you get all this material to look back and find it? Is it just, I mean, if I just even try to watch all of Netflix, and that doesn't even go back before probably even 2000s, it would take me forever. I'm just one person. So where are you guys finding all this? Do you guys using search algorithms? I don't see you guys how you found it. Did you guys did a YouTube algorithm point out uses to 311 or 11.3 Seattle, and that'll come up with videos from all these shows in the past, and they're not just movies, they're shows and cartoons and all of this stuff, and heck, it looks like even music videos. So how do you guys find all this stuff? I mean, that's pretty good stuff. I mean, heck, are you guys programmers? Do you guys just program some algorithms to find all this stuff on the web, just kind of trawl the internet type of thing? Do you guys do that stuff? I mean, I would say that makes more sense than just going through every little video and saying, hey, there's probably a reference to 311 or 11.3 regarding Seattle and football stadiums or something like that. Or the number, was it 44 or something like that? Yeah. Oh, man. This guy.
And so that's just wanted to address that. That's not what happened here. And so the question is, what did occur here? Because something was amiss here. Again, even the biggest skeptics were all coming on saying, hey, these things, this is all beyond coincidence. which means beyond coincidence, which means something was done by design here. And so did we identify that next potential event? Many of us believe we did. If not, then it's out there in the media, and we have yet to identify it. But hey, that's the question. But it's just a matter of how you approach this and what you believe. All right, guys. And with that said, we're going to move past this. Our eyes continue to be open. Let's pay attention. We're paying attention to what's going on with the buildup to Iran. And of course, the propaganda dealing with Iran. And we know they still want World War III. So, hey, for now, a slight sigh of relief. But, of course, don't put your guard completely down, as we know they're going to continue on. And who knows, can they not have contingency plans? I mean, they probably have contingency plans on contingency plans on contingency plans. And so even if we did have an effect and do this, as some of us, may believe, may or may not believe, they are going to continue on. Okay. And so, yeah, let's continue, keep our eyes on that. I have some videos, some topics I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the veganism agenda with the depopulation, United Nations Sustainable Development depopulation agenda that goes along with. I was thinking about putting some videos on that, but yeah, we'll move forward with this. I just want to thank those of you guys with us for the continued support and supporting me during this time, during this whole false flag watch investigation. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one, whenever that will be. All right, thanks, guys, and God bless.
Oh my goodness. Now, wow, 83 comments in an hour. I bet there's a lot more since I refreshed the page. There's just 83 now. All right. So the entire premise of Anonymous being the PSYOP. Here's the play. It's just a lot easier to control. Plus, there's just a lot more you can put out there. See what sticks. Just throw everything out there. Make them make content. Here's the same agenda. Let's push this little conspiracy theory video. Let's tie it to 9/11. This time we'll call it 3/11 or 11/3. It's like no one ever called 9/11 11/9. Anyways, let's just do it. Discredit the 9/11 truthers community, just like there are no forests on flat earth type of thing. Discredit the flat earthers. Just a whole discredit type of thing. Can't pin it on anybody because we're just using anonymous people. You don't know the names, you don't know whatever, and anyone gets out of line, we'll just shut them down. You don't know what happens to them. They're not protected. Do you really think that the governments or whatever don't know who TM Films is? They know who he is, but we don't. Whatever happens to him, he's not protected. Public's not gonna. Hey, whatever happened to TM Films? Who's TM Films? The guy who made the video stuff on YouTube called TM Films. Yeah, but what's his name? What does he look like? I don't know. He just stopped making videos all of a sudden. Well, did he die? Did he just quit? What happened? No. No one's gonna know. Something happens to me, yeah, you probably know. You just look at all the videos. They're gonna have to scrub everything from not just my computers, from the blockchain that I put all my videos at, from BitChute, from YouTube, Periscope, whatever. I just stream everywhere. It's gonna be a headache, but at least you're gonna know what they did. You're gonna see on the news. You're gonna see my name. You're gonna see my face. Just because you see mine, it's gonna be out there. What happens to TM Films? Yeah. Other thing is, like you had a lot of so figureheads, people you do get to see their names and their faces. Someone like Alex Jones, and there were people like Bill Cooper. And they offed Bill Cooper. Excuse me. He was supposed to push the agenda, tout the line. He's supposed to just keep pushing stuff on UFOs and aliens and, you know, from outer space and stuff like that. And then he did an interview saying, you know, all of that was a big fat lie. You know, he was fooled. And then he comes up with a prediction that, you know, there's going to be an attack and it's going to be blamed on Osama bin Laden and all this other stuff. He doesn't call out the exact date and time. But yeah, he pretty much predicted it and he got offed. He was supposed to just keep pushing that alien UFO propaganda, which they liked. And once he stopped doing that, well, they didn't like it. So Alex Jones, when he starts doing his own thing, you know, it's hard to control someone who's got millions of supporters. Something happens to them, you know, something bad could happen. People could be out there rioting or something like that just because he's got such a cult following. Now, what they don't want are people to be so led by whatever cult follower, even if they control them, because eventually they may have a time where all the people following them, they've got a lot more control than the people who are supposedly his puppet master. So they're trying to get around all the stuff because they notice that, you know, they are trying to control a lot of people, be the new cult leaders, and that's basically what they do is they control the cult leaders. And the thing is, sometimes now they've got a lot of the stuff out there. It's just harder to control. It's a lot easier to control when they're not protected by the public, by people that are out there that really ends up caring for them, even though they lie, they push an agenda. Sometimes they may just have a change of heart. And that change of heart can create a lot of problems. So the anonymous agenda really works in a lot of favors for them. Problem is, again, with the figureheads like Alex Jones, those who push conspiracy theories, We Are Change is just another one. It's usually the far right or the right side, conservative, Republicans, political ideology from that perspective. There really isn't many on the left. They can't tout some form of figurehead that's pushing out conspiracy theories, wacky stuff. I mean, you point that out to you have like some more liberal, left wing, whatever person that thinks the same thing as the ones on the right, that, you know, 9/11 was not adding up like they say it did with the official narrative, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's no figurehead like that. So the only way they could do that is actually just get people who are anonymous to tout that ideological perspective, but also that conspiratorial perspective as well. So you can just pretty much cover all the bases with just using anonymous. And you've got a lot of that out with the alternative media, with QAnon and just anonymous. There's anonymous Scandinavia, just anonymous itself, that ties in with the Julian Assange, WikiLeaks type of stuff, which is a big part of the left-wing liberal political ideology, which they want control of. So that's the big thing. That's the PSYOP, the usefulness of anonymous. They're gonna try to get legitimacy with anonymous. I mean, you see it with a lot of the. And the thing is, say there are people who are anonymous, and this is what I've said a long time in the past. Say you got a group of people. Say it was me. I was part of an anonymous group with 3 other people. Now, you don't know who I am because I'm anonymous. They offed me. They got control of my computers and my passwords and encryption and all this other stuff. And now they pose as anonymous. So how do you know anonymous wasn't taken over by some system? You don't, because it's all anonymous. So no matter what, at any time, the anonymous group or whatever it is that's pushing out certain material, you never know if they're going to be compromised. Everything's been anonymous. Just like in the government, everything within the government in the United States and probably any other government out there, it's all based not on transparency. So What do you know what actually goes on in there? You don't, because nothing's transparent. It's all pretty opaque. There's a couple whistleblowers here and there which have to go into hiding or get really subjugated by the government. And you've got, guess what, anonymous people or obvious shills who are just discrediting these whistleblowers, huh? Let's see. They whistleblew. They got to prison. They're attacked by mainstream media. They're attacked by politicians. Yeah, those guys are just part of the plan. Oh, I got a little phone call. Fight the flat earth. Why me? You got my Zoom. You can join in Fight the Flat Earth on my Zoom account. Interesting. That's the first time I had Fight the Flat Earth. Come on in. Well, Fight the Flat Earth, you're more than invited on my Zoom. So if you want to go ahead and talk, I use Zoom. I don't use Google Chat. That's my thing. So if you do want to come on in and talk, you may. I don't really know who Fight the Flat Earth is either. I don't know if I know his name or if I know his face. But anyways, it's probably something, if he wants to come on in and talk, we can. Let's see. Let's move it on over to, if I just use Zoom, let me just go back here. And nope, you can't see that part. So just me right now. You'll hear a chime for enter and exit if someone does come on Zoom. If you want to get on Zoom, if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description box. If you're watching on D Live, I'll just go ahead and copy and paste the Zoom meeting, and that should be enough. Oh, no, that's not it. Why didn't that copy? Give me a second here. There you go. Interesting. I mean, like Tim Osman, a lot of people, they're anonymous. Hey, they're everywhere. Anonymous is everywhere. But yeah, if people want to come on in, go on ahead. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this. I know a lot of people seem to be pretty trusting of anonymous sources. I mean, it's always been used in mainstream media, especially by the government. Someone from an inside source, and then you're gonna have this journalist say a trusted anonymous source within this government entity or this corporate figure or whatever, to protect their identity. And but this anonymous source is pretty reliable. And that's how we got into that's how we got into Iraq, didn't we? An anonymous source just tipped us off, and we're going, oh yeah, that sounds right, let's go on in. A lot of people fall for it. I think they want people to who have kind of woken up to it to just kind of go back to sleep. Except I don't think so. There are people that are out there that keeps trying to wake people up.
Wake up, Dr. Jones! Wake up! Indy, I love you! Wake up, Indy! Wake up!
Wake up, Dr. Jones! Wake up! I wish I could show more of that video, but I have a feeling that if I did, they'd probably copyright strike me and whatnot. So we just have to kind of wait and see. It's going to be pretty straightforward. The strategy's in place. They're out there. They use a lot of rhetoric because if they actually used logical truth that you can follow, just a logical route to it. You can just easily tell, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. Oh yes, it's gonna definitely happen. There's a percentage here, and then if they're right in one way or wrong, you know, we have to reassess. But pretty much right now they've only used it to discredit the people trying to wake other people up. Flat earthers, they're everywhere. They're within the 9/11 truthers with the false flags. They're there for the shootings that could be potential psyops, mass shootings. Again, I never say that these mass shootings are psyops, and I would never say they're false flags. That's just stupid. They're just psyops. And people who think that psyops don't exist, well, the military has ads for people to work on psyops. They say it's just for psyops towards foreign countries, not towards the American people, even though that they made sure you can do that and it's legal to do psyops and propaganda to the U.S. citizens. There's legislation there that they actually passed. But you know what? You're not going to go and look into it. You're just thinking, Ebon, the conspiracy tinfoil wearing hat. It's like, I'm not pushing any of the conspiracy theories out there. I'm just looking into the official narrative. What adds up? What doesn't add up? What's more important is what doesn't add up. Just like scientific experiments. It's if it adds up, then there's nothing there. If it doesn't add up, well, that's something, you know. And just like in my previous video that got taken down, I was talking about science. Science isn't ever about proof. You've got a lot of scientific experiments that occurred in the 1800s, 1900s, probably even before, that have been repeatedly tested and got the same results until they didn't. That wasn't proof back then when it was repeatable and it passed muster. Until it didn't mean that that proof was no longer a proof. That proof was just never a proof, just because there's a scientific experiment associated with it. Scientific experiment, basically, it's there until someone runs that same experiment. Maybe they find fault within that experiment. They get a different result, and they have a repeatable way of repeating that same different result, and therefore that's not the new proof. That's just the new outcome and looking into it. And so you don't prove anything with scientific experiments. You wait till it gets disproven with a different result. So it's not about proof. It's about not proving until it's proven no longer. It's not proven no longer. It's just kind of a bad way to put it. The idea of it is it's just like when software testing, any type of testing, quality assurance testing, whatever. That's from my background. That's easy to see. So it's like writing a test case for, within a test plan. A new build comes out, you just test the same thing you did in the previous versions. Just because you tested it in the past and it didn't have any problems, that doesn't mean it's never going to have any problem again. And that's the whole purpose for testing. Now I'm talking about software testing at this moment. So build 1, test 1, log in, passed. Version 2, version 3, version 4, version 100, test 1, all passed. You repeated that test 100 times in 100 different versions. Version 101, test 1, failed. That doesn't it didn't mean that you don't have to stop testing the logging in process, because just because it worked 100 times out of 100 different versions, the 101st time, hey, we finally had an error. There's a bug. Just because you tested it once 100 different times doesn't mean that it's never going to fail, that the outcome is always going to be the result you expected. So that's all it is. You just keep testing it until it comes up with a different result, and you got a problem. So that's how I go about looking into things as far as that. Sean Davis, maybe. I think the Morgul can have some wisdom. He just has to lay off the drugs. And probably calling his wife a demon. Things like that. And I think if the Morgul kind of finds his way, I think there might be something. It's a diamond in the rough. Let's just say that. Let's see what else. What else? Kind of lost my track of thought there. So, yeah, I think, and that's, I think, what a lot of people forget is like they look at the latest scientific result and they go, hey, look at that. It's proof. They don't look at the previous scientific experiments with the different results until that new scientific experiment to just kind of take over the previous ones. They just look at the latest and therefore think it's the greatest. But then if they went back and traced it back, and tracing things back throughout history, not very well done. Even when you try to, or you are forced to, like in the military. I worked with the Dare system. Now, it was a system that was 30 years old at the time I was working on it, maybe even a little bit older. Now, the thing about it is you have tech manuals, and these tech manuals pretty much have the schematic layout of the electronics. Now, if you make any changes to the components of the electronics, you're supposed to document that change in a change request. And therefore, when you have a tech document that's 30 years old, along with a system that's 30 years old, all the things that are reflected within the tech manual and the actual system should be accounted for. Except 30 years, different people working on the thing, things are going to change. There's been plenty of times where I had to go work on the system, fix it on the fly because they're flying. They have flight operations. So that means you have to have someone else who knows the system. If they're sleeping, you have to wake up. There's only two of us. So if no matter what, we always have to work in pairs. Well, we look at the tech. we open it up. We look at the tech manual. Tech manual isn't updated. You got a whole different component board within the system, and we're like, they didn't document the change, so now we have to look at it not through the schematics, well, how the schematics is, and we look at the component and we just look and see what they did, if there's a bypass or whatever, and it's pain in the butt. So even with that, where you are forced to document it, that's what you're supposed to do. It's the military, it's the government. You're supposed to document it, especially any change, and it's not there. And at that point, what do? Look, we're at a new spot. It was like, we don't know what was put in the board. This is what we did. Put that in the tech manual. The tech manual. The next person who looks at it goes, well, I don't know what that is either, but this is what they did. And if this is a problem, this is probably how we're going to have to fix it. They have to figure it out on their own. This is why we're here. This is why I have to do my videos, my live streams, because there's not many people doing it. And if they're doing it, they have ulterior motives. They want more of the cult following. They want more of the control. They want something materially gained. I think it's more like, Braveheart, the movie, when that person says something about uncompromising men are easy to admire. Is that right? Yeah. Anyways. So it's uncompromising. That's it. Whether I have $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion, I'm still going to do this until people just kind of wake up. You guys are Indiana Jones. I'm short round. I'm not that short. I am Asian. But yeah. You guys, just trying to wake you guys up a little bit more. People don't like that idea. They go, yeah, I want you to wake up, but I want you to fall asleep to my tune. That's what a lot of people unfortunately do. They get this cult following, and they have their own little mystery school. They employ a lot of mysticism and all this other stuff. And you know, hey, you want to know the secrets of the world? Here you go. I know the secrets of the world. And it's like, hey, this guy knows the secrets of the world. I don't. So he says he does. So let's go follow this guy. And then you're going to just kind of fall into the same problem you did before. You fall asleep at the wheel again. Set your macros up to the new script. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Just look at my last video with the understanding NPCs. So, no, again, that key word, Sean Davis, believe. I do not believe. Now, the second part, is the Earth flat? Probably. It's not the official narrative of NASA and government and every other big system component saying that the Earth is a globe. That doesn't pass muster. The official narrative didn't pass the test. It starts going back to Pythagoras. And who's Pythagoras? He's a man behind a curtain. Mystery schools. A lot of it can be attributed to him. He didn't leave any documentation or any writings. He just all that stuff is just attributed to him. Do we really know if it was attributed to Pythagoras or not? We really don't know. That's what the reports and all the documents state as far as Pythagoras goes. So, how much can you trust? Maybe Pythagoras was more or totally different. They just don't want us to know the real things with Pythagoras. But then there's Heraclitus, who's talking about Pythagoras not just once, not just twice, 3 separate times in his fragments. And if you want to compare Pythagoras and Heraclitus, well, Heraclitus pretty much was the one who got a lot of Stoics behind him. You know, all the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, and a couple other philosophers that are more in line with telling the truth and do the right thing. They followed Heraclitus's philosophical views. They didn't follow the mystery schools, the cult leadership, and all that other stuff that was founded by Pythagoras, or at least attributed to Pythagoras. So there you go. Something people don't look at. And, you know, a lot of people really love Pythagoras. They look up to him. There's very, very, very few who don't. And the very, very few that don't was probably me and Heraclitus. I don't think there's really anyone else that probably looks at Pythagoras as really a dubious figure as far as what the written history accounts for Pythagoras. But we don't know, unfortunately. People could be stating anything about me in the future. I can do nothing about it. I'll be gone, maybe. So, you know, it's not like the only ones who may stop them is just people that knew me. So anyone, once I'm no longer around, can write about anything about me. And who's going to stop them? The only ones who's going to stop them are people who maybe looked at all my videos, looked at any writings that I did, anything that pertains to a specific topic, and saying, hey, this is what this person said. There's a lot of people, especially anonymous, that say Bill Cooper was, hey, not even anonymous, saying Bill Cooper was wrong. He was a shill. He was whatever. Well, here's one thing. He's the one who called out Alex Jones as being a liar. He pretty much he called out that that the whole UFO aliens thing was a big hoax perpetrated by the government, and they led him to release a lot of that information out there, and he was fooled. He said that there's going to be an attack on the U.S. You're gonna pin it on Osama bin Laden and all this other stuff, and they set out an ambush for him and they killed him. So if that's what these secret operatives are within the government, well, they don't last very long, I guess. As long as you're pretty much exposing what they're doing and what's gonna happen, and being correct about it. And so anyone who talks bad about Bill Cooper, you just kind of have to just wonder why. It's like Bill Cooper's probably main saying is listen to everybody, trust nobody, do your own research, all that jazz. And then you got people who say, no, don't do your own research, listen to me. That's who was it? Texas Atlas, whatever. And I forgot his name now. Yeah, there's just so much out there. I really need to empty my cup because there's just a lot more I need to keep going at. And people who don't understand my reference to emptying your cup, well, you can't understand more new wisdom until you get rid of all the stuff that's in there already. So once I empty my cup, so imagine this is all the knowledge here in my cup. And now if it's full and I just want more knowledge, well, it's going to overflow. I'm not going to retain anything. So I got to empty my cup. Once my cup's empty, this is coffee this late at night. It actually helps me go to sleep, which is weird. Well, now I can fill it back up. More wisdom, new wisdom. All the stuff that I had in this cup, well, it's part of me. I kept what I needed. But I'm not resistant to getting anything more. So that's just the analogy of the emptying your cup. Well, we don't seem to have anyone joining my Zoom session, so that's a shame. Maybe eventually I'll have more people on. I've asked people to come on and do an interview with me, and that hasn't happened yet. So I think it's time for me to find a lot more people out there. Whether they're big or small, it doesn't matter. It's just like you just gotta. If you really want to change things, start with changing yourself. Then find people who have changed themselves and understand they can change things outside of themselves. The only way to do that is to work together. Short Round couldn't have stopped them himself. Indiana Jones couldn't have stopped everything himself. That's why a lot of heroes have companions. There may be one hero to the story that's part of the, where everything happens around that individual, but that hero rarely ever does it alone. So wake up. And I thought I was going to play that. What happened? I guess it doesn't happen on this one. Oh, it's on chat 2? My hotkeys not working. That's probably a good time to... Oh, no, it's here. What's going on? Here, let's do it.
Wake up, Dr. Joe! Wake up! Indy, I love you! Wake up, Indy! Wake up!
Wake up. All right. Good night, everybody. I'll see you guys another time.